Uh, I came here to be a player. Um, I didn't come here just to be a bag holder.
And welcome, everybody, to another glorious episode of the Student Body Rights USC podcast. I'm your host, Dwayne Douglas, and as always, I am podcasting on the beautiful shores of the Pacific Ocean. Beautiful day out here in Southern California. PORSBR is my Twitter handle, so check me out there. Um, it's time. It's getting closer and closer every day. It's USC, Missouri State, the home opener for the 2025 season. We're getting really excited about that. And a guy who's really going to be excited is Killian O'Connor. Killian O'Connor is the starting center right now for USC. Now, head coach Lincoln Riley did say that John Ray Reed is going to have factor in here. There's always injuries there. If you don't have if Reed doesn't start, he could maybe slip into a guard spot here. I guess they'll both play center this Saturday against Missouri State. So so you have that as a factor as well. But it should be fun times here with SC because this is gonna be an opportunity here for a young man to really kind of solidify himself at the center spot. So the biggest contention people have about Killian O'Connor is his undersized is under his him being undersized. He's 6'1", 295 pounds, which when you do the research and you don't just jump to conclusions, you'll see that there's a bunch of teams in college football who are high profile teams, who are highly ranked teams, who have centers who have his build. So the idea that this is something that you can't that can't be done, or we're doing a disservice to ourselves at USC because he's going to be starting. I would say that is definitely not that's definitely not the case here. There's a lot of teams that have guys who can who are that size. I had a list here. I'm just trying to find it real quick for you as we talk about stuff here on the pod. But here we go. So we got let's see, Oregon State center is 290. We got Georgia's center is 305. West Virginia is 294. Clemson's is 305. Missouri's is 285. Texas Tech is 300 pounds. Let's see here. You got Arkansas 303. You got Texas 305. So it's about, and then you got Air Force and Mississippi State, 285 and 303 is the number you're looking at. You're looking at there. Let me see if there's any other squads here. But LSU 300 300 pounds. They got 300-pound center, 300-pound center in at Ohio State. So it's not. I think it's not. I think it's not really much to weight. They have one at 292. The outlier would be the Oregon's center is 330. So with that being said, 295. The factor here, I think what the factor is that he can make all the calls, and he's been here for a very long time, and he knows this offense. I think that's the biggest factor here is that he knows this offense. He knows it cold. So I think that's a factor that goes beyond maybe what John Ray Reed can kind of bring to the table. And I think he played well in the bowl game in Las Vegas. But you're in a situation here where you have to you need a guy who can do that for the entire year. So John Ray Reed is going to be a guy who is who has to know the calls, has to know all the stuff too, because at some point somebody on this line is gonna get hurt. Right? We gotta be real. Like, what I mean? Like somebody on this line is gonna get hurt. So with that being said, you need depth, you need versatility. And I think doing it this way makes sense. And when once you get into the games, maybe O'Connor will get overwhelmed and Reed comes back in. But at the end of the day, like you never know. This is going to give them the opportunity to have a lot of versatility, a lot of success, a lot of knowledge because he can make all the calls at the line and he knows this offense cold. I think that's a big factor. So as long as so, I mean, for Killian O'Connor, this is beyond the fact that it's a great story where he walked on at USC, and I think his father and his grandfather walked on at USC. There's a whole lot for him. This is a great moment. So hopefully he can, get to that next level and bring USC where they need to go. As far as the rest of the offensive line, we do have left tackle Elijah Page, Tobias Raymond will be alongside on the left side here at guard. Then we have Lainoa on the right at the right guard, and then we have Justin Tuanu at right tackle. So we'll see how this group goes. This is going to be a group that's going to have a lot of scrutiny. A lot of people are going to are going to try to go after this group of people because this is going to be the weakness, the quote unquote weakness of the team, to see if teams can take advantage of it. If the Trojans can solidify this offensive line, and they have two games, one against a weak opponent, once against a middle opponent, and then you get Purdue on the road. Once they get through those three games, you're going to get a real sense of what this team is offensively with the offensive line, and I think you have talent there. It's just young, unproven talent, and that young, unproven talent did play well against the defensive line in Texas A&M in that bowl game. Small sample size, but I mean, Texas A&M is ranked is one of the best teams in the country, and all those quote unquote backups they played last year are guys who are starting for them right now. So they weren't playing little sisters of the poor as that goes. So you have to have an optimistic view of it. You know what you have in Page. You know what you have in Eloy Naha for a little bit. Eloy Noah as well. But some of these guys are like, they're a little bit wet behind the ears, but we'll see what they do to get ready for a Big Ten play as far as that goes. And a part of this is running the football. If USC comes out and runs the football with Jordan, with Sanders, with Jackson, that could be a big determining factor as well too, because they can run if they can run the football, it's a little bit easier to mesh and get better out on with your offensive line play if that defensive line is if that defensive if the offensive line is coming together in the run game rather than just sitting back and be on your heels in pass protection. So run the football first, get their feet wet doing that, and then I think you'll see a lot of a lot of play action passing and passing game RPO stuff from SC in the coming weeks. The tight end position, looking what I did mention that when they asked about who was the kind of the camp MVP. And I think he mentioned a lot of different names here, Cam Fountain, people like that. But one name that I do think that is going to be a factor here, and it is not going to. I just don't think they're gonna throw it. But obviously, a lot of targets have to go to Lane, have to go to Lemon. But I do think that the tight ends will be involved, and that's one of the weakest parts of Jaden's game is kind of over the middle, intermediate. So we'll see if he can get people involved like McCree, like Walker Lyons. Walker Lyons is going to get opportunities to play here. Like he's a very good, sure-handed, I wouldn't say explosive tight end, but he's one of those guys who gets behind you. You're not going to catch him. Like he doesn't. So if you can scheme him and get him open and do some of the things you did with Deuce Robinson last year, like in the Nebraska game. Plays like that where they went 12 personnel and were able to catch him on a little bit of a streak down the sideline. Like those are plays that I think you can see a guy like Walker Lyons come through and help USC be able to get plays down the field, if you will. So we know that for Jaden, the intermediate middle is where he's kind of struggled. So and those are kind of the plays that keep you from that keeps the chains moving, if you will. So you want to be able to keep the chains moving. You would like to be able to drop back and just throw a 40-yard bomb to Jacoby Lane or Malachi Nelson every time, but those plays are not always going to be available. So you gotta be able to move the chains, especially in this Big Ten, where everybody's trying to play good defense. They don't call holding, they don't really call a lot of penalties, all those things like that. So that would be something where you have to see what SC is going to do, as far as that goes. So and then you have to look at it too. You want to see what they do with the tight ends because the big time tight end is coming next year, and Mark Bowman. So let's just get an introduction. Let's get introduced to using the tight ends, if you will, in this moment now. So when next year comes, we can also see what Hussein Longstreet can do with a Mark Bowman's things like that. But yeah, the offensive line is set. It's never going to be set in stone because people get hurt. Never going to be set in stone because things move around. If people aren't performing well, you got to make changes. But for right now, we got Paige, Raymond, O'Connor at center, Noah and Tuanu on this USC offensive line. Excited about that. See what they can do, and then this is where Lincoln Riley has to do some magic here just to get these guys their feet wet, get these guys ready to go. So because you can't be getting pushed back against Missouri State here. You can't have the Bears come to the Coliseum and do anything special here because it's gonna make everything look bad. So offensive line, tight ends. And now next show we're gonna talk about the defensive line. Probably one of the most exciting parts of this USC football team is the defensive line. We'll talk about them as well here on the Student Body Right USC podcast. See you next time, folks. Peace. Fight on.